Point one, you take time. Hiring the right and best people just takes time. It takes forever, but it pays back. Second, you only hire people that are better than you in some meaningful way. Repeat, better than you. That's the only criterion. Early morning. Boy wakes up. He's scared. He runs toward the window. He yells, "Mom, did they come yet?" The voice answers, "No, not yet." He looks out. And then it comes. A gigantic orange garbage truck. It pulls up. Two garbage men in the orange uniforms get out. They pull the first garbage cart. They hook it up. They pull the lever. The cart turns upside down. The magic happens. "Mom, I want to be a garbage man when I grow up." That was me. I was about 3 at the time. This job seemed like a place I wanted to be, a place where I can change the world right here, right now. Well, there was a lot of social pressure for me not to pursue that career, and I was very unhappy. But then I realized, well, a proton accelerator is pretty much like a garbage truck. You get the stuff in, well, it vanishes from your view, and then when you see it again, you need a lot of hypotheses to figure it out. Well, skip forward 25 years, and here I am at the Center of Nuclear Research running an experiment. And it goes like this: hypothesis, experiment, pivot, repeat. Let me say again. Hypothesis, experiment, pivot, repeat. And we try to do it all before we run out of the money. And boy, we feel like we have an impact. We are literally burning the amount of electricity as a small town. And we do it for 3 years in a row. Well, anything is possible. It is super important to fail fast. There is no hierarchy, there is no structure. I go to conferences, and then I realize, well, there's maybe a couple of dozen people who care. No more, no less. I know what they're going to say. I know what they're going to say. And it's not like I didn't feel like what I was doing was important. I had enough. So I turned to doing the next thing I thought I knew how to do. And that was software engineering, and that was building distributed computer systems. So I went to a corporation, a big telco. My parents said, "Finally, you have a job." Well, I went there to do software, and I thought I was good at that. And then I realized that it's not enough. Writing software was the bare minimum of what was needed there. In fact, the communication and the perception of the receiving part was far more important than just delivering the code. Well, and don't get me wrong, there was a fantastic structure. The thing that I was missing on my previous job. There were coding standards. There were code reviews. There was proper planning and project management, a quality department, and tests. So everything that I missed in my previous job was still there. But then there was a team in Poland and a team in the US. And the moment of realization came when a friend of mine made the following statement. Why do they keep calling us they, while we already call them we? Think about it. We were one team. Our job was to be one team, but it wasn't happening. Well, skip forward 5 years. I was a head of an organization that was 300 people. I was scared. Every day, I was balancing on the edge between getting things done and getting fired. It was fun because it wasn't comfortable, but I also didn't really know how to do it. In a way, I felt like operating a garbage truck. And I didn't like it. So the way it went was backlog in, some magic and hard work and luck in the middle, and then things mostly sorted out. And I was doing it every day, and I quickly realized this happened, and I barely noticed it. I changed the job. I wasn't doing what I was good at, and I also wasn't doing what I thought I could do better than other people. So long story short, I went to a business school to improve what I thought I needed, and then I realized I actually don't like it at all. And skipping forward another few years, I ended up here. And here is Google. So let me tell you what here is. Well, imagine you have an idea. Imagine a situation where if you have an idea, no one can really stop you unless you give up. That's where I am today, right? It's like you're getting on a spaceship and it's starting, and everything is tumbling and vibrating, and there is up and down, but it can be upside down in a second. There is no right or wrong. There is instant flow of information, and there is instant flow of opinion. Everybody believes they know what to do, and everybody, in a way, is right? And there is a way for you to have immediate impact anywhere, at any project. In fact, when I first joined, I didn't sleep for the first 2 or 3 months, or I barely slept, because any project I thought was interesting, I ended up working on. And then there was one more, because it was so exciting and so fantastic. So, for the rest 13 minutes, I'm going to tell you about top 10 reasons you can actually thrive in such environment. Number 10, the people. When I first joined, maybe like my second week in, I needed to work on a project that was, in fact, crossing the path with some other product. So I needed to collaborate with a different team. I made an appointment. I went to a room. At a time set, nobody was there. The person was late. Then 6 minutes in, when I almost gave up, I heard flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop on the corridor. And this continued, flip-flop, flip-flop, and the door opened, and there was this guy in a too big and very old t-shirt that could have been his pajamas, shorts, and the flip-flops. He apologized, introduced himself, and said, I saw your email. I apologize for being late, and I guarantee you we're going to go through every questions you have within the remaining time. And then he went on, without me saying anything. He explained the technical aspect regarding the question I asked. And then he continued saying, given everything we know, there is a go-to-market strategy that you should look at, and this is where I think about it. And then he continued and he said, well, you need to look at the licensing of particular assets that you want to include in your product. And this is what I know about it. And then after that, he said, well, let me tell you about the competitive market of the area you're working on. After about 8 minutes, he finished. And he asked whether I have any questions. I was still parsing the second minute of his speech because he was speaking so fast. I didn't have questions. I didn't even think about half of the stuff he mentioned. So he promised to answer to any further questions I may have, and he left. And I looked him up, thinking, well, I didn't know who that person was, really. I thought I invited an engineer. So I checked. There is a directory system. Well, that was an engineer, 3 years after school, a software engineer. He was just simply getting it. He wasn't a marketing manager. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't a content director. He was just a person that cares. So how do you go about getting the people like that? Well, there are 4 points. Point 1, you take time. Hiring the right and best people just takes time. It takes forever, but it pays back. Second, you only hire people that are better than you in some meaningful way. Repeat, better than you. That's the only criterion. Well, number 3, you remove the managers from the process of deciding whether a person is the right person for the job. It's committees, peers, a process. And then number 4, you make it everyone's job because it's so much work. Okay, so that was number 10. I thought, okay. Number 9, you need to get your team the nap rooms. Yes, the nap rooms. At Google, we have nap rooms. It's the place where we go and take a nap. All right. Number 8. You need to get rid of the hierarchy. By this, I mean a manager at Google doesn't get to say about whom to hire, whom to fire, whom to promote, what is the salary, bonus, structure, and any kind of stock grants going to be, what is their performance assessment, what is the current code quality, and what is the right moment to launch the product. Instead, their only job is to serve the team by inspiring it and by clearing the road. Nothing else. No carrots and sticks, just creating the asylum for the people to work. Number 7, no status symbols. Literally, we have super flat organization. There is no company cars, no perk cars whatsoever. There's no executive reserved parking lots. There are no offices. The office of Urs Hölzl, I'm currently working for a group that does the infrastructure. Urs is our vice president, is at the end of the floor. He sits next to 2 more vice presidents and across from engineers. That's how it works, right? That's how you get the contact. And then it's absolutely normal to bike to work along the CFO of the company or to meet Sergey Brin, who is rollerblading between 2 meetings in 2 different buildings. These people were humble. There is no status symbols. Number 6, trust. Let me tell you a story. Around the first months of my work at Google, I got myself a project of building a YouTube application for TV. That was something new. We had very little time, very little engineers, but I figured there was an early version of an Android app that was already out there in a beta version, and we're talking 2011. I found the team that was working on it, and I contacted a single person. This person was somewhere. I didn't know exactly, Zurich or London. I didn't know, I didn't care. We made an appointment, we made a video conference. We spoke about what I'm trying to do and what would be possible for this agile project to share with us so that we can reuse it and make it smarter or faster. We spoke for about 20 minutes, at the end of which this guy said, it looks like you may use some help. How about if I come over for 3 days and we can sort it out with your team? I said, that would be great. Can you do it? He said, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. He showed up next day in the office. We sorted it out. We actually launched this app maybe like 4 months later. All good. But now, my point is, this person didn't seek permission to drop everything he was doing to travel and help my team. He didn't seek excuse to delay what he was doing by 3 days because he was helping my team. He just did what was right. And he was expecting for everybody around to do exactly the same. So, a question. Can you trust your team to do just that? Can you trust them to do the right call at any given moment? Can you trust them to do what we call skunk works or 20% projects? I'll talk about it in a second. Can you trust them so that give everybody in the company access to all of the source code ever written so that they can reuse it or modify it or expand it? And then, can they trust you? Do you have them their back? Would you always protect their idea? Number 5, 20% project. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. So I will tell you what this is not. So this is not a fully fledged corporate program in which organization gets to work on something else that is organized. Nothing like that. No one really gets 20%. There must be some level of ad hoc decision, and it needs to work somehow outside of the lines of the formal management. It's almost like the idea is more important than the reality of it. But what you get in reverse, or, let me guess. Let me open my phone. Okay, so that would be Gmail, Calendar, Google Maps, a couple of others. Most of the projects that you use today were started at 20% projects by people who had passion and they had an idea and they explained it to someone, then they got to a corner and they worked on it. In a way, they rebelled. So the idea here is to have the organization that lets you do that. Obviously, it's controlled in a way that you need to declare what you're doing and you need to declare or show something after some time. But the important aspect is this can be anything. It doesn't have to be related to any of your current projects. It doesn't have to be your area at all. It doesn't have to be anything that the company is working on at the moment. All right. Number 4. Make decisions by data, not by the opinions. So everything I described a second ago may let you think that this may lead to anarchy. If there is so much freedom, if there are so many people that can make their own decisions, that can ultimately change direction of where the company is going. Well, not exactly. We actually use data to guard against rumor, opinion, bias, pure judgment, you name it. If we have a saying, if there is no data, my opinion is better. So when we are in disagreement, we come with the data. And through most of the time, we come out of the meeting with the agreement. Sometimes we don't. And in that case, we escalate. But we escalate to the next person. It's usually a manager of the person. And this is where the decision really happens. And we escalate it with data, which means there is no opinion. There's just the data. And even if we disagree, we have a saying of disagree and commit. This means it's better to make a decision fast and test it. Agree what are the criteria on testing, whether it was good or bad. Do an A/B test. Do an experiment. Rather than dragging this decision forever. All right, number 3. You let people nominate themselves for promotion. Engineers do it themselves. When the right moment comes, when they feel like what they are currently already doing fits the description of the next level, then they can put themselves up for promotion. What happens is there is a system in which peers express opinion of what has actually been done by that person over a given period. And then at the end, there is a promo committee. Managers of a person are not in that committee that decide whether this person is meeting the criterions of operating on the next level. So you first need to operate at the next level, and then you get the promotion to that level. That's how it works. And it's powerful, and we measure it. We measured cases when it were promotions that were done upon a self-nomination and upon nomination by someone else. It doesn't have to be a manager. There is no correlation. It doesn't matter. If someone feels like it, he can try it. Super powerful. Okay, number 2, we're coming to an end. One of the most important things, I would say. Well, we have the best snacks in the micro kitchen. Believe it or not, spend a lot of time at work. So if you have a micro kitchen that has a proper barista-like coffee machine, and everybody gets a training. This is one of the first trainings when you join Google is how to operate the proper coffee machine. That is totally manual, has a grinder that you need to set up, tamper, and so on. And then you have this place. This place becomes a place where you go for inspiration. You go to discuss with your friends. It's a very little spending for very big benefit. All right. And then number 1. Let them choose. Let them choose what they work on. I think it's one of the most fundamental things in the way how we operate. Engineers can choose what they work on. When they're getting hired, we discuss with them. We tell them, we have this 4 or 5 projects. Which one would you like to work on at the moment? Then when they're on the project already, and there are subtasks or features or whatever you call it, right? Again, we let them choose. And then every once in a while, which typically is 2 to 3 years, we expect that they will look at what other opportunities are and move to other team. Move and work on something else. We actually have a web page that's called Magnet that advertises open job positions in other teams. And really, there is no way, if someone decides to move to the other team, this is probably the only process I know about, there's no way to stop him. Like, the whole organization needs to agree with it. All right, in closing, I have a wish that you wake up one day and you'll be as happy as I am right now, right here. Thank you.